Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel defended on Sunday his government's plan to launch a renewed offensive against Hamas in parts of Gaza. But that was followed by a wave of criticism both at home and abroad. The Israeli military was preparing to expand its campaign to central Gaza as well as to Gaza City. Netanyahu told reporters this at a news conference in Jerusalem, which was met with widespread condemnation. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have sought shelter in these specific areas, hoping that they would be safer in these areas.
The war can end tomorrow if Gaza, or rather if Hamas, lays down its arms and releases all the remaining hostages. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will have overriding security responsibility. A security zone will be established on Gaza's border with Israel to prevent future terrorist incursions. A civilian administration will be established in Gaza that will seek to live in peace with Israel.
Netanyahu's proposal has drawn fierce criticism from the families of Israeli hostages who fear that their loved ones will be killed in this Israeli assault. The country's leaders have also overruled the objections of the Israeli military. In fact, the leadership of the military had raised concerns over the exhaustion amongst its soldiers. Last week, Netanyahu had a rather tense 4-hour-long meeting with the Israeli army chief Eyal Zamir, who was reportedly against expanding the operations in Gaza. But Bibi decided to go ahead anyway. Given Hamas's refusal to lay down its arms, Israel, he says, has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas. That was the justification put forth by Netanyahu and his cabinet when they passed the expansion move last week. On Friday, the Israeli government announced that the Security Cabinet, which is a group of senior ministers led by Netanyahu, had approved a plan for the military to prepare to take control of the entire Gaza city. Those preparations could take weeks or even months, potentially leaving open the possibility of a long drawn-out war, which could further bog down Israel's army. The unofficial deadline for people to leave Gaza City is the 7th of October, exactly 2 years to the day since Hamas carried out a deadly terror attack on Israel. But the decision quickly spurred anger abroad, where Israel is increasingly getting blamed for the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Aid agencies and European countries have blamed Israeli restrictions on lack of humanitarian aid finding its way into Gaza. Netanyahu's government says that more than 2 million tons of aid have already been given to Gaza, but Hamas is cornering a large proportion of that aid only to resell it at much higher prices. The United Nations Security Council met in an extraordinary meeting on Sunday in New York. It was a rare weekend gathering called for by Britain, Denmark, Greece, and France in response to the Israeli announcement of expansion of military operations in Gaza. The Council has called for Hamas to disarm, for more humanitarian aid to enter Gaza, and for the Palestinian Authority, which currently administers parts of the West Bank, to have a role in a future government in Gaza.
Expanding military operations will do nothing to bring an end to this conflict. It will not secure the release of the hostages. It will only deepen the suffering of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. This is not a path to resolution. It is a path to more bloodshed.
But Netanyahu has firmly rejected the idea of handing over the governance of Gaza to either Hamas or to the Palestinian Authority. He's told a group of Indian journalists last week that Gaza will instead be turned over to an international body which consists of Americans, Europeans, and Arabs, while Israel maintains perimeter security around the Gaza Strip. Israel's Security Cabinet back on Friday laid out 5 principles for ending the war. The most important of these principles are the complete destruction and demilitarization of Hamas and the return of the remaining hostages. Israel believes there are still 20 hostages who are still alive after they were kidnapped after October 7, 2023. Over the last few weeks, many Western countries have announced plans to recognize an independent Palestinian state and thereby making the two-state solution the de facto result which will end this war and the larger Middle Eastern crisis. While France has already recognized an independent Palestinian state, Britain, Canada, and Australia have said that they will do so very soon, as early as September. Germany has stopped sending military exports to Israel. All of this was expected to bring pressure to bear on Netanyahu's government, but that has not come to pass. The war has continued almost unabated for close to 2 years now, killing more than 60,000 people in Gaza, according to local health officials. Hamas triggered the fighting on the 7th of October 2023 with a massive attack that killed about 1,200 Israelis and saw about 250 Israelis being taken hostage back to Gaza. About 200 of those hostages have now been returned, either dead or alive.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.